Some very exciting news if you're a DC fan, if you're a Zack Snyder fan, if you're a Henry Cavill Superman fan. Man of Steel 2 is in early development at Warner Bros. Discovery. This news broke tonight through the Hollywood Reporter with the headline, DC at a turning point. James Gunn's mystery DC movie and The Rock flexes his Superman power. This article had so many bombshells it deserves a video to itself. But basically, the future of DC is very, very promising, and it's going to be very, very big, which means it's very, very exciting for us DC fans. Before I get into Man of Steel 2, I want to talk about how the Batman 2 is confirmed with multiple spin-offs. The J.J. Abrams Superman movie is still happening. James Gunn has a mystery DC movie lined up with multiple TV shows on the way as well. And The Flash 2, yes, The Flash 2 has been written, probably because the Flash movie ends on a cliffhanger with Michael Keaton being in the DCU and Ben Affleck's Batman being lost in time. This article also talks about how Walter Hamada was basically fired by Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav, and this week will be his last week at Warner Bros. The article also talks about how Walter Hamada tried to sabotage the DCU in spite of Zack Snyder, and even tried to stop the Henry Cavill cameo in Black Adam, and The Rock had to go over his head to make it happen. But what's very interesting about this article is this part right here. Under Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav and Warner Bros. Picture heads Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi, Warner's has an intense desire to reprise the Henry Cavill iteration of the hero. The project that would essentially be Man of Steel 2 is being produced by Charles Roven and is currently in a search for writers. There is a wish list, of course, and Christopher McQuarrie, the hand that guides the Mission Impossible movies, was on it. McQuarrie worked with Henry Cavill on the 2018 installment Fallout, but sources say no official outreach has been made, nor may it be feasible, as the director is working on the next back-to-back Mission Impossible installments. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, however, has Superman plans of his own and has been very vocal about his desire to make a Black Adam versus Superman movie, a desire he has only reiterated more frequently in the lead up to Black Adam. This comes as he talks up his surprise cameo at the end of Black Adam, with the actor all but stating that Henry Cavill will appear. Insiders are wondering if those calls are intended to goose the movie's opening weekend box office numbers or to maneuver Superman onto his own chess square, or perhaps both. Whatever the case, Johnson is definitely at the center of Henry Cavill's return to DC, which was not without some drama of its own. Johnson's manager is Danny Garcia, his former wife, who was also his producing partner at 7 Books Entertainment. Garcia also happens to represent Henry Cavill. Superman, as well as Henry Cavill, were not in the initial plans for Black Adam. That idea was hatched during the round of reshoots for the movie earlier this year, but the cameo was nixed by Walter Hamada, the executive who for the last 4 years has tried hard to move DC beyond the era where one filmmaker, in this case Zack Snyder, who kicked off the DC universe in 2013 with Man of Steel, Walter Hamada had his own Superman plans, one of them introducing a black Superman with a multi-decade spanning story. After Walter Hamada said no, The Rock went around the executive, turning to DeLuca and Abdi, who gave it the thumbs up. A furious round of negotiating occurred before Labor Day, a deadline insisted by Warner's, with the scene shot in mid-September. So guys, this is exciting news. Henry Cavill is wanted by Warner Brothers Discovery for a sequel to Man of Steel. He will appear in the post-credit scene for Black Adam. But the big thing about this article is that Walter Hamada, the DC president, has tried to sabotage his own company out of spite for Zack Snyder. He didn't want Henry Cavill, he didn't want Ben Affleck, he didn't even want the Snyder Cut. Remember, he called it a cul-de-sac that leads nowhere. This guy was supposed to bring DC on the up, but he brought it down big time, and The Rock had to step in to make this happen, to make Henry Cavill return. And it looks like David Zaslav outright fired Walter Hamada because this is his last week at Warner Brothers Discovery, thankfully. Zack Snyder may not have a future at DC right now because he's working at Netflix, but the characters that he introduced with these actors and the stories that laid the foundation for this universe could live on, because The Rock has said that the next era of the DC universe will be built on listening to the fans. He listened to the fans about Henry Cavill Superman, and now he's back with a cameo in Black Adam and Man of Steel 2 in early development. And the Black Adam is a hit, and guys, it needs to be a hit, because if it is, The Rock and his producing company 7 Bucks Productions will get the keys to the DC universe to do whatever they want. And if they're listening to the fans, we could see more Batfleck. We could even see Zack Snyder return down the line, Ray Fisher's Cyborg. Situations like that are huge possibilities right now, because the future for me of DC looks very promising. Black Adam is the start of the new era, and Walter Hamada and the old Warner Brothers executives who hated Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill, that old DC universe are gone, and The Rock acknowledges the faults of the company, and David Zaslav is ruthless. But David Zaslav needs to see some potential in Black Adam. That's why that movie needs to be a hit, because if it flops, guys, Man of Steel 2 might not happen. But look, let's be positive, let's be hopeful. I think Black Adam will do quite well. And Christopher McQuarrie, who did have discussions with Henry Cavill about an idea for Superman a few years ago, but Warner Brothers would not listen to them, is now back in the discussion. Henry Cavill is a big Hollywood star now with a lot of star power, so I think if he wants Christopher McQuarrie, he will get him, and Henry Cavill will be a main producer on Man of Steel 2, so we could see something very, very exciting. I made a fun tweet online saying Christopher McQuarrie to direct, Zack Snyder to produce, Henry Cavill back, and make Tom Cruise the villain. Guys, that movie would make $1 billion, as they say. But look, let's be hopeful. This is great. Henry Cavill returns as Superman. So let's see what the future brings of the DC universe. Black Adam comes out this Friday. I'm very excited to see that. Keep an eye out on the channel for my non-spoiler and spoiler review for Black Adam. I think it looks terrific. Hopefully it lands, and hopefully the general audiences really, really like it. But guys, what's your thoughts on Henry Cavill's return as Superman in Black Adam? Man of Steel 2 is in early development. The Batman 2 is coming with multiple spin-offs of the villains. The Black Clark Kent Superman movie from J.J. Abrams is still happening, and The Flash 2 has already been written, probably because of that huge cliffhanger with Michael Keaton now in the DCEU and Ben Affleck's Batman lost in time. For years, guys, I said to be positive, to be hopeful, that everything will work out in the end. And you know what? It's slowly coming to fruition. Henry Cavill is back. Man of Steel 2 is on the way. Guys, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, come follow me on all the social medias, and get into the comments and show your love for Henry Cavill's Superman. And let me know if you're planning on seeing Black Adam this Friday.